Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
We are reading, studying, and discussing Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, Chapter 4, Sri Madhavendra Puri's devotional service. And this, at the beginning of this chapter, there's a summary. Prananath Prabhu, could you start reading this, if you don't mind?
Yes. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All Srila Prabhupada. In his Amrita Pravaha Bhasya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the following summary of the 4th chapter. Passing along the path of Chatrabhoga and coming to Vriddha Mantreshwara, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached the border of Orissa. On his way, he enjoyed transcendental bliss by chanting and begging alms in different villages. In this way, he reached the celebrated village of Remuna, where there is a deity of Gopinatha. There, he narrated the story of Madhavendra Puri as he had heard it from his spiritual master, Ishvara Puri. The narration is as follows. One night, while in Govardhan, Madhavendra Puri dreamed that the Gopal deity was within the forest. The next morning, he invited his neighborhood friends to accompany him to excavate the deity from the jungle. He then established the deity of Sri Gopalji on top of Govardhan hill with great pomp. Gopal was worshipped and the Annakut festival was observed. This festival was known everywhere and many people from the neighboring villages came to join. One night, the Gopal deity again appeared to Madhavendra Puri in a dream and asked him to go to Jagannath Puri to collect some sandalwood pulp and smear it on the body of the deity. Having received this order, Madhavendra Puri immediately started for Orissa. Traveling through Bengal, he reached Remuna village and there received a pot of condensed milk, Shira, offered to the deity of Gopinathji. This pot of condensed milk was stolen by Gopinath and delivered to Madhavendra Puri. Since then, the Gopinath deity has been known as Shirchor Gopinath, the deity who stole the pot of condensed milk. After reaching Jagannath Puri, Madhavendra Puri received permission from the king to take out 1 mound of sandalwood and 20 tulas of camphor. Aided by 2 men, he brought these things to Remuna. Again, he saw in a dream that Gopal at Govardhan Hill desired that very sandalwood to be turned into pulp, mixed with camphor, and smeared over the body of Gopinathji. Understanding that that would satisfy the Gopal deity at Govardhan, Madhavendra Puri executed the order and returned to Jagannath Puri. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu narrated this story for Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and other devotees and praised the pure devotional service of Madhavendra Puri. When he recited some verses composed by Madhavendra Puri, he went into an ecstatic mood. But when he saw that many people were assembled, he checked himself and ate some sweet rice prasadam. Thus he passed that night, and the next morning he again started for Jagannath Puri.
Thank you. Om Arganati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurin Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapidam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupagadamaikam Dadati Shapandantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadit Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Before speaking, I'd like to ask permission and blessings from all devotees, and particularly those who are senior by age or advancement in Krishna or advancement in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Does anyone have any questions or comments or observations, reflections on this summary of the 4th chapter?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Thank you so much. This is such a wonderful verse and purport. I'm wondering if Jagannath Puri is especially known for sandalwood pulp. Is this like the source of, is it prevalent there, or is it not found in other areas?
It's a good
Does
question.
it have special significance coming from Jagannath Puri?
My understanding is it hasn't been explained here in this part of the Caitanya Caritamrita. Usually, there's the sandalwood is coming from the Malaya hills. Yeah, which is on where are those hills, Mother Vindhyavali?
In India, north side.
North side, you said.
I don't know.
Malayalam.
Kerala,
south
right?
side.
Kerala?
Kerala, yeah, they're Kerala usually.
I'm sorry.
And so
Kerala.
therefore sandalwood is called Malaya sandalwood, Chandan, Malaya.
Malaya.
So, but and sometimes people say it's in, the country of, what's that country called near Vietnam?
Malaysia.
Malaysia. There we go. Thank you. But but because that sandalwood was being used for Lord Jagannath, there must have been some stock there without having Madhya Puri not having to go all the way to Kerala for it. That's my understanding, although it's not stated anywhere specifically that I know of. Maybe you know, Mother Golokananda Priya?
Yes.
What's that?
Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, sure. Although I don't know if it's stated anywhere that this, because there was a stock there of sandalwood in Jagannath Puri, therefore Lord Gopal from Govardhan sent Madhavendra Puri there instead of course he could have gone to South India, but he didn't. He went to Jagannath Puri.
There are trees that also grow in the north of India, sandalwood, and the neem trees there. And there used to be neem trees that became sandalwood, as with the convert to sandalwood, in Orissa, in the hills of Orissa.
Oh, okay. So there may have been
I am from Orissa, so I know enough about Jagannath Puri to say that. They used to grow there. Now, of course, they've all been cut down, but they used to be in the hill country.
Okay, so
they're different from South Indian. They're very different from South Indian to sandalwood. They're white.
So
white.
South Indian sandalwood trees are different from the sandalwood trees that used to grow in
yes,
Orissa.
Absolutely. They're
Interesting
white.
point.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Of course, even today, the distribution and sale of sandalwood is controlled by the government of India, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, or it could be both things. For whatever reason, it could have been coming from, as was said, the sandalwood could have been local there, and or from South India, both. But it was stocked there in Jagannath Puri. Thank you. And of course, he may have gone there because Gopal wanted him to pass through Kirachora Gopinath's temple anyway.
Mm.
Interesting point also here is that when Madhavendra Puri went to Jagannath Puri from Vrindavan, he went through Bengal. Because if you look at the map of India, going Bengal is pretty much straight east, and then you have to go south to go to Jagannath Puri. So Lord Chaitanya also, when he went from Puri to Vrindavan, he initially went that way, but later went through the forest of Jharkhand. Other questions or comments on this? One point here also is, you see in this second paragraph, there's he received a pot of condensed milk, kheer, or kheer, offered to the deity of Gopinathji. Pot of condensed milk was stolen by Gopinath. So sometimes in different parts of India, kheer is known in different ways. Kheer in Bengal is usually condensed milk without rice. So then there's this reference here, and then later we see that Lord Chaitanya, it says he ate the sweet rice. So was that the same time or a different time? I don't know. You follow? Down in the last paragraph, it says that he ate this, praise the pure, and he recited, and he ate some sweet rice, prasadam. Is that same sweet rice, the sweet rice that was the condensed milk, or was it something different? Of course, these are little details, and one might not think, and in the bigger picture of things, it's not so important whether was it sweet rice or was it condensed milk. The only reason you might be interested in is that because if you wanted to make the same preparation for your Gopal deity, then you'd need to know whether it was sweet rice or condensed milk, or maybe one or the other at different times. So our friend Atulya Harinam, his place, his family place is not far from Kheer Chora Gopinath. And so he investigated whether, since they're still offering that preparation to Gopinath, Kheer Chora Gopinath, at the temple in Remuna. And I remembered because some devotees, I went with some devotees from New York there in 1978, and they offered the prasadam there to us also. And at that time, it was just condensed milk without rice. So Atulya Harinam investigated, and he also found that, yes, it's condensed milk without rice. Technically called Amrita Keli Kheer, which you'll find in the legend of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhogarati, Karpur Amrita Keli Ramba Kirashad. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was also offering Amrita Keli Kheer, or following, he was chanting, glorifying that preparation offered to Lord Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
One other thing that occurred to me when reading this was that the Gopal deity wanted that sandalwood to be offered, and it almost sounds like he wants it to be brought back to himself as the deity.
Yes.
There at Govardhan, but instead it goes to Gopinath. And it's kind of an interesting relationship there between the two deities, right? How did Madhavendra Puri know to take it to Gopinath rather than to Gopal? It's, all very transcendental.
Yeah, because it says here that because he had the dream, another dream.
Right.
Yes. Again, he saw in a dream Gopal at Govardhan Hill desired that very sandalwood to be turned into pulp and smeared on the body of Gopinathji. So you're correct that there's some transcendental activities going on between the deities. Very interesting. And somebody could say, well, wait, why are you changing your mind here? Krishna, that's Krishna's a prerogative. Doesn't always have to be that way. Krishna can change his mind. You know, Srila Prabhupada sometimes would change the plan according to how things were working. Change your mind. That's all right. Acharya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I didn't hear this from the very beginning. I confess I tuned in a few minutes ago, so I'm not sure how much this was discussed, but I really like how he's sort of like not playing with the idea, but contrasting this idea of, sometimes devotees naturally will have a great allegiance to like their deity, their home deity. So there's some of that there, but then there's also at the same time, the understanding that all the deities are Krishna. So the individual deity that he was getting the sandalwood for, but then also realizing at the end that giving to this other deity is equally giving it to Krishna. So I mean, I've had that thought before, like being in a temple and you think, oh, this is my deity, and I want everything for my deity, either my home deity, my temple deity. But at the same time, understanding that all the deities, they're all equally Krishna.
Excellent point, Prabhu. Nice, thank you. And another point here also is that here we think of Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and completely transcendental to the modes of nature. But he's wanting to be cooled down by the sandalwood pulp. So it's not just a ritual, but Lord Krishna likes this offering of sandalwood pulp. Although his being hot and our being hot are different, but still, he accepts that service for us. That's that's the reason he appears as his deity form, to accept service from his devotees. So when, say, for example, we fan the deity, it's not just a ritual, but it's to cool him down. It's and he reciprocates that way. So it's an interesting point.
Since you brought up fanning the deities, can I ask one other thing about that?
Sure.
There, according to whether, I don't know if it's Hari Bhakti Vilas or whatever the Smriti is, it gives these directions. There's this particular day on which you start fanning the deities when according to the weather in India, and then a particular day when you stop fanning and only use the chamara. So I remember in a previous yuga when I was the head pujari in Boston, because the weather there was not the same, we would sometimes not the same as India. We would adjust that schedule so it wouldn't be strictly according to the rules. But if it's cold somewhere like Boston, that even if it's on the date when you would offer the fan, we wouldn't offer the fan. So what do you think of that? What do you think of that? Does that seem okay to do, or just be a rule follow, or?
Yeah, there's the question of niyamagraha. Are you following just the rules and regulations just to follow them, or because there's a purpose behind them?
Right. And I don't know what different temples do about that either.
Yes. I haven't investigated that. And but and I'm not an authority on that. And when Srila Prabhupada was asked something similar about is it a rule or is it something you can adjust? He said, well, that takes a little intelligence, right? So that takes a little intelligence. Yeah, and I know way back in the early days of ISKCON, on Lord Nityananda's appearance day, which is usually in like February or late January, early or mid to mid February, we never did public bathing, although it's recommended in some Smriti Shastras for that. But one reason that one might not do that is because it's cold in February, at least in Philadelphia and in New York, so I would lean in that direction, although don't quote me on it, okay?
Okay.
I would agree with you that it's probably a good idea to check with other temples and see and other authorities to see how that's understood. It'd be an interesting point. Although Lord Krishna's completely transcendental to the modes of nature, still we're careful in how we worship him according to the circumstances, the weather, etc.
Thank you.
But
Prabhu, which month he asked for the sandalwood pulp?
I don't know. We don't know that.
That
There's
is
Mother
another-
Galokananda Priya has her hand up.
Yeah, about planning the deities. What I heard from the deity ministry lately, they said we adjust it according to the country.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is summer or
There's
something.
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, that's what we do. Like here, the winter, usually we do it like after the time saving.
Yeah, there's all those time.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
in different countries, depend on the weather of each country, each place.
You have Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, which is the summer is completely different time of year. Yeah. And I remember when they were moving the deities to where they are in Philadelphia now from the old temple room. Used to be that they would offer the fan from one place, from the far left part to all the sets of deities. But the deity worship minister at that time, Jayananda Prabhu, said, no, better to go closer, to go to in front of every single set of deities to offer the fan, because the point is to get some wind. That was he said. We might investigate further, but I know they do that someplace differently in other temples. But it's good it's a great topic to investigate and to think about, because we're thinking about how we can best serve Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and take into account the instructions from the previous acharyas, particularly the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, and the understanding of authorities in ISKCON as well. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Such a nice discussion.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mother Sundari.
Prabhu, just to confirm what Acharya Prabhu was saying, when I moved from San Diego to Florida, I had been worshiping Radha Giridhari in their Chota form, Radha Giriraj, every day in San Diego, and had become very attached to those deities. And I attended the Panihati festival in Atlanta after moving to the East Coast. And Jayapataka Swami was graciously speaking with me and asking me how I was feeling about moving from San Diego. And I shared with him the deep pain I was experiencing, feeling the separation from Radha Giriraj in San Diego, and that I wasn't sure I would ever get over it. And he said, this service in separation is a very powerful experience. We have to understand it as transcendental and not get confused with material desires to be back in San Diego. He said, you see this as transcendental, and you may always maintain that very deep attachment to those particular deities, but right now they want you to serve elsewhere. So the attachment to a particular set of deities, then he justified, Jayapataka Swami, that was okay. But that deity may send you elsewhere to do service, and you have to accept that as the grace of that deity.
Yes. Excellent point. Thank you so much. Yes, that happens in life. Sometimes one has to leave one temple to go to another temple for a variety of reasons, and Krishna is encouraging you to continue the service in a particular way. Thank you. Another point here is how much is a mound of sandalwood? A mound of sandalwood is about 80 pounds. So it wasn't, lugging 80 pounds across country is no small feat. And how much is a tola? A tola. Usually measure gold in tolas, I think.
30 grams or 10?
Yeah, something like that. So it's this is just 20 tolas of camphors, maybe half a pound or something like that. Yeah, but the sandalwood is quite an extensive amount of sandalwood. Okay, do we have a Bengali Bengali speaker on this? I don't
I
see.
can do, Prabhuji.
Ah, Nrsingapareshwar Prabhu, thank you. Yeah.
This is Sanskrit, Prabhuji.
Oh, okay. Tasmai datum charayan chira bandham gopinata kshira chora bhido bhot Shri Gopala pradurasid vashasan yat premna tam madhavendram natosmi. Okay. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Madhavendra Puri, who was given a pot of sweet rice stolen by Sri Gopinath, celebrated thereafter as Kshir Chora. Being pleased by Madhavendra Puri's love, Sri Gopal, the deity at Govardhan, appeared to the public vision. Can't see that. Purport. Bhaktivinoda Thakur annotates that this Gopal deity was originally installed by Vajra, the great-grandson of Krishna. Madhavendra Puri rediscovered Gopal and established him on top of Govardhan Hill. This Gopal deity is now situated in Nathdwara and is under the management of the descendants of Vallabhacharya. The worship of the deity is very luxurious, and one who goes there can purchase varieties of prasadam by paying a small price. Wow. So Vajra, the great-grandson of Lord Krishna, installed a number of deities in the area around Vrajamandala, and this was Gopal deity was one of them. And nowadays, they often refer to that Gopal deity as, Sri Nataji. That's the same, Sri Nataji, Gopal deity. And those who are followers of the Vallabhacharya school, his followers, they're also called the Pushti Marg people, they address Vallabhacharya as Mahaprabhu, although really that term is especially reserved for Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And they also credit Vallabhacharya with discovering the deity of Gopal, not Madhavendra Puri. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur indicated that there should be a court case to determine who the real discoverer of Srinathji or Gopal, the Gopal deity, is. I don't know if that was accomplished, but anyway, after Madhavendra Puri was there, he had his disciples worship, and then after some time, the followers of Vallabhacharya began to worship, and to this day they're all carrying on that worship, which is very elaborate and nicely done there. Now the deity is no longer in Vraj, but in Nathdwara, which is somewhere west in Rajasthan, I believe. Is it? Yeah, within the hilly area. To get there, you have to go through valleys and through cliffs. There was a place where it was very safe against attack by any invading forces. Maybe some of you have been there to Nathdwara to see the deity of Gopal.
I had been there, Prabhu.
Yes. What was your experience?
It was I don't know, at that my early age, I don't know, I didn't remember all that. but I had very good darshan. That's all I can tell. But
Uh-huh.
all these going through that, I don't remember anything.
Okay. Okay. I remember they had, like in South, they had these big bundi ka laddus there
Yeah,
for a small price.
that was 65 or like that. It's too late. Long time ago.
But it's a holy place there because of the presence of
Yeah.
Gopal, Srinathji, lifting Govardhan.
Govardhan Hill, yeah.
Okay, text 2, Nrsimhapaladishwar Prabhu.
Jaya Jaya Gaurachandra Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktabinda.
All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Prabhu, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya.
নীলাদ্রি গমন জগন্নাথ দর্শন সার্বভৌম ভট্টাচার্য প্রভুর মিলন এইসব লীলা প্রভুর দাস বৃন্দাবন বিস্তারী করিয়াছেন উত্তম বর্ণন.
The Lord went to Jagannath Puri and visited Lord Jagannath's temple. He also met with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. All these pastimes have been very elaborately explained by Vrindavan Das Thakur in his book Chaitanya Bhagavat.
সহজে বিচিত্র মধুর চৈতন্য বিহার বৃন্দাবন দাস মুখে অমৃতের ধার.
By nature, all the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are very wonderful and sweet. And when they are described by Vrindavan Das Thakur, they become like a shower of nectar. Amritara Dhara. It's a shower of nectar, yeah. Okay. You're taking a shower now, in case you didn't know. Okay.
অতএব তাহা বর্ণিলে হয় পুনরুক্তি দম্ভ করি বর্ণি যদি দৈছে নাহি শক্তি.
Therefore, I very humbly submit that since these activities have already been nicely described by Vrindavan Das Thakur, I would be very proud to repeat the same thing, and this would not be very good. I do not have such powers.
Prabhuji, may I read a few verses if you give the permission?
Yeah, just let Nrsimhapaladishwar read a couple now, and then you can go more. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
চৈতন্য মঙ্গলে যাহা করিল বর্ণন সূত্ররূপে সেই লীলা করিয়ে সূচন.
I am therefore presenting only a synopsis of those events already described elaborately by Vrindavan Das Thakur in his Chaitanya Mangal, now known as Chaitanya Bhagavat. So here, this is an important point, although Srila Prabhupada doesn't comment more than it's already given in the verses, and not to try to outdo the predecessor Acharya, the predecessor teacher. He's Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is following in his footsteps, but not trying to do something more elaborate or overcome the previous Acharya. We need to, this is something to pay attention to also in our discussions of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes quotes are made or given, spoken about, citations are given without reckoning or understanding or even being aware of what Srila Prabhupada has said on a topic. So, for example, one or two of my godbrothers said in a class that Lord Ramchandra's Leela was not in this past Treta Yuga, this one just passed. It was in a different yuga, a different Chatur Yuga, which may be, but Srila Prabhupada in the purport of the first verse of the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita indicates that it was the last, this just previous to Treta Yuga where Lord Ramchandra appeared. So, or different people have different opinions, but at least one should be able to be aware of the opinion of the previous Acharya and not challenge that. So that's the spirit here, which is exemplified very nicely by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, respecting the previous author of the Chaitanya Bhagavata, Chaitanya Mangal, Vrindavan Das Thakur. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recognized that principle when he was discussing with Vallabhacharya in Puri. Vallabhacharya came forward and said, I have a better commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam than even Sridhar Swami. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu jokingly said, oh, so you're giving up your Swami, that makes you a prostitute. He said that. So in a subtle way, or not so subtle way, he criticized Vallabhacharya's pride in thinking he could do better than the Sridhar Swami, previous Acharya. So similarly, we see here that's the same idea given by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. This is very important, very important. Okay.
তার সূত্রে আছে তেহ না কইলে বর্ণন যথা কথকিঞ্চিত করি যে লীলা কথন.
Some of the incidents he did not describe elaborately, but only summarized. And these I shall try to describe in this book.
অতএব তার পায়ে করি নমস্কার, তার পায়ে অপরাধ না হউক আমার.
I thus offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Vrindavan Das Thakur. I hope that I will not offend his lotus feet by this action.
এই মতো মহাপ্রভু চলিলা নীলাচলে, চারি ভক্ত সঙ্গে কৃষ্ণ কীর্তন কুতূহলে.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proceeded toward Jagannath Puri with 4 of his devotees, and he chanted the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna mantra, with great eagerness. So you see that in the Bengali is Krishna Kirtan, for chanting the holy name of Krishna. So he was chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra along with, apparently, with those other 4 devotees. You know who those devotees were? Anybody? No? We'll have to see. One you know is Nityananda Prabhu, right? One
Yeah.
is Mukunda. Yeah.
The rest of
Mukunda.
the Panchatattva.
No, not actually, no. The Panchatattva weren't there.
Is that Swarup Damodar?
Not even Swarup Damodar came later. Damodar Pandit was there. Mukunda, Nityananda Prabhu, and one other. Dandashekar, I believe. Maybe not. Okay. Mataji, you want to chant the Bengali now?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you so much.
Thank you, Praladeshwar. It was very, very good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Radhesh Prabhu, to giving me the chance of reading. ভিক্ষা লাগি একদিন 1 গ্রাম গিয়া আপনে বহুত অন্ন আনিল মাগিয়া.
Each day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally went to a village and collected a great quantity of rice and other grains for the preparation of prasadam.
পথে বড় বড় দানি বিঘ্ন নাহি করে, তা সবারই কৃপা করি আইলা রেমুনারে.
There were many rivers on the way, and at each river there was a tax collector. The tax collector did not hinder the Lord, however, and he showed them mercy. Finally, he reached the village of Remuna. Purport. There's a railway station named Baleshwar, and 5 miles to the west is the village of Remuna. The temple of Chora Gopinath still exists in this village, and within the temple, the Samadhi tomb of Rasikananda Prabhu, the chief disciple of Shyamananda Goswami, can still be found. So Shyamananda Goswami previously was named Dukhi Krishnadas, but later he came to Orissa and preached. He was there in Vrindavan with Srinivasa Acharya and Narottam Das Thakur, but then he went to Orissa and preached vigorously in Orissa, spreading the teachings of Lord Chaitanya there. And one of his principal disciples was Risikananda Prabhu. So that temple of Chora Gopinath still exists. And at that temple, they still have regularly a festival of Chandan Yatra there, just like was done at the time of Madhavendra Puri. And it's interesting also that even then they had tax collectors at the rivers, just like sometimes here also. If you go to cross the Delaware River or you cross the Hudson River, you have to pay a toll, isn't it? Which is just a tax collector. So even in those days, they had also the tax collectors, but they didn't hinder the Lord. I don't know if that means that they didn't have to pay any tax or any toll, but he showed them mercy in any case. Questions, comments? Text 13.
রেমুনাতে গোপীনাথ পরম মোহন ভক্তি করি কইল প্রভু তাহার দর্শন।
The deity of Gopinath in the temple at Remuna was very attractive. Lord Chaitanya visited the temple and offered his obeisances with great devotion. Text 14.
তার পাদ পদ্ম নিকট প্রণাম করিতে তার পুষ্প চূড়া পড়িল প্রভুর মাথাতে।
When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered his obeisances at the lotus feet of the Gopinath deity, the helmet of flowers on the head of Gopinath fell down and landed on the head of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's interesting how you would think that Lord Chaitanya must have been very close to that Gopinath deity to have when the helmet of flowers fell, it went right down his head.
This kind of blessing.
Yeah.
চূড়া পায়া মহাপ্রভুর আনন্দিত মন বহু নৃত্য গীত কইল লয়া ভক্তগণ।
When the deity's helmet fell on his head, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very pleased, and thus he chanted and danced in various ways with his devotees. That was very pleasing to Lord Chaitanya. Maybe you know other circumstances where the flower or the garland of the deity is accepted as a blessing. You know any particular times that is been seen?
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Jagannath.
Could you explain?
During Ratha Yatra, I think Bhaktisiddhanta was a baby's mother brought him outside, and the garland from the deities fell on Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati when he was a baby.
Yes, when he was a baby, the mother got permission because the father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, was a magistrate there in Puri. So she was able to get up on the cart and put the baby, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, then known as Bimala Prasad, at the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath. And immediately the garland fell on him, around him from Lord Jagannath. Good, yes. Any other circumstances?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
Not a similar circumstance, but just a question for clarification. This is the same deity who stole the sweet rice, correct?
Yes.
He's a very interactive deity.
Yes.
You know, physically, I mean, things that are happening that others can see. Just amazing.
And, one might posit that all the deities are like that, except sometimes we ignore their reciprocation with us,
Mhm.
There was another case when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami went to Vrindavan. He received the mercy of the Lord in the form of the garland of the deity of Govindaji when he came to Vrindavan under the order of Nityananda Prabhu. And similarly, we also can think that when we get the deity's prasadam garland, that is a blessing for us, not just a bunch of flowers. It's a the prasadam offered, the flower prasadam offered to the Lord is great mercy also. Of course, nowadays, some of the flowers that you buy are artificially dyed. You know that? And if you perspire, like during a kirtan, then the colors come off on your kurta. It ruins your kurta. But anyway, still, it's one should be careful about that. But that wasn't a problem back then, I don't think. Text 16.
প্রভুর প্রভাব দেখি প্রেমরূপ গুণ বিস্মিত হইলা গোপীনাথের দাসগণ
All the servants of the deity were struck with wonder due to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's intense love, his exquisite beauty, and his transcendental qualities. How could they see his intense love? Huh? What do you say? Anybody?
Sometimes you see external symptoms, but a lot of times when a pure devotee is in that kind of ecstasy, you can just feel it.
Ah, okay. Anybody else? Mother Sundar, you had unmuted yourself.
Well, I was just going to mention his, throughout the Caitanya Charitamrita, there are descriptions of his physical transformations that would occur in his ecstatic love for Krishna, including intense perspiration and hair standing on end, and I believe elongation of the limbs and faltering of the voice, and of course his dancing was beyond this world type of dancing. So I'm assuming that the servants of the deity were also able to see some of these transformations.
Okay. Yes, the things that are mentioned are the quality of his chanting and dancing, right? And those other things might also have been there, but the what was mentioned in the previous verse is just by the quality of his chanting and his dancing. They that was recognized there, along with his exquisite beauty and his transcendental qualities. Text 17.
নানা রূপে প্রীতি কইল প্রভুর সেবন সেই রাত্রি তাহা প্রভু করিলা বঞ্চন
Because of their love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they served him in many ways. And that night, the Lord stayed at the temple of Gopinath.
মহাপ্রসাদ কিরুল্ল রহিলা প্রভু তথা পূর্বে ঈশ্বর পুরী তারে কহিয়াছেন কথা
The Lord remained there because he was very eager to receive the remnants of sweet rice offered to the Gopinath deity, having heard a narration from his spiritual master, Ishwarpuri, of what had once happened there.
ক্ষীরচোরা গোপীনাথ প্রসিদ্ধ তার নাম, ভক্তগণে কহে প্রভু সেই তো আখ্যান।
That deity was widely known as Kir Chora Gopinath, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told his devotees the story of how the deity became so famous.
পূর্বে মাধব পুরীর লাগে ক্ষীর কইল চুরি, অতএব নাম হইল ক্ষীরচোরা হরি।
Formerly, the deity had stolen a pot of sweet rice for Madhavendra Puri. Therefore, he became very famous as the Lord who stole the sweet rice. Hare Krishna. So we have, well, we can end here, but just to remember, here we have Kir Chora, and sometimes Lord Krishna is known as Makan Chora. How can he be a thief? We know from the Ishopanishad, Isha Vasyamidam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat. Everything animate or inanimate that's within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. So how can he be a Choda? You tell me. Mother Vindyavati, you're saying something, but you're muted.
It's childhood times, so we can relish. And
I didn't understand what you said.
his childhood pastimes. So we can relish that, we can enjoy those things. So listening.
So you're saying he really is stealing?
I don't know. He's stealing. He was just playing with Mother Yasoda. That doesn't mean he doesn't need any. He has he wants everything, but the way he was playing with Mother Yasoda,
Okay.
so it's not that he doesn't need anything. He has everything, but he just want to make us enjoy those deeds.
Okay. Prananath Prabhu, or Mother Sundari, you just unmuted yourself.
Yes, I think in a sense, he did steal the pot of sweet rice, because the protocol would be for the pujari to remove the sweet rice from the altar along with other offerings and transfer them to other plates. And that protocol was broken. That's my understanding anyway.
Okay. So even though he owns everything, it looks like stealing.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the regular protocol.
Isn't that the sweet rice was offered in a clay pot? So clay pot we don't transfer in India. We just serve directly from the clay pot.
Okay. Prananath Prabhu.
He's reciprocating and having loving exchanges, a personal relationship with the devotees, with his pure devotees.
Yes. It's interesting that, as Mother Vindyavali said, for a little kid, a child of 2 or 3 years old, taking other people's stuff is kind of like, that's the norm. They don't have any bar. Of course, the parents, if you go out to a store and the child starts to take candy that's a little troublesome. But at home, the kid will take anything, right? Of course, this isn't a kid, or at least this is Gopinath, which is Gopinath is slightly older than a little kid, but still. And stealing from the home is different than stealing from outside. So he's stealing from the pujari's regular services here, right? Yeah. Not too serious stealing.
Are we not enjoying that thing what he did, stealing the sweet rice or stealing the butter?
Yeah, so we can enjoy, and Krishna certainly is enjoying, but if we try to imitate that, we get into trouble.
No, we'll be in trouble.
Yeah. Although, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that with prasadam, sometimes you can even take it without permission. Like Narad Muni was
Yeah,
he asked if he could take the prasadam remnants of the great Bhaktivedantas, and they gave him permission. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that even without permission, he could take. So sometimes you'll find that in ISKCON in the early days, maybe you know that devotees might steal prasadam, not bhoga, but steal prasadam, and there wouldn't be karma for that. Oh, Acharya Prabhu.
There's a funny story, and I can't remember. Maybe it's in the book of Radha Damodar Leelas, that there was a feast, and Prabhupada was present at the feast, honoring the feast, and all the devotees were also there. And one devotee, Jai Gopal, who I think has passed away since, stole a sweet ball, some sweet, off of Tamal Krishna's plate, and snatched it off his plate and popped it in his mouth. And Tamal Krishna got really angry, and Prabhupada saw it and laughed, and he said, "Today, Jai Gopal has made a lot of spiritual advancement."
Wow, excellent story. Thank you. Yeah, so taking the prasadam. And in temples, sometimes they used to keep the Mahaprasadam locked up, and sometimes devotees in the middle of the night would go and take the hinges off the door and take the Mahaprasadam. There was no real punishment for that I know of.
Prabhu, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You know Karnapur Das, who used to be the Pujari in Long Island.
Yes.
When I was very first moved into the temple, he used to save all the Mahaprasad and lock it up, and then it would be served out to all the devotees at breakfast. And then a few days in a row, it went missing. So he actually hid behind the door, and he caught one devotee stealing and sort of busted her, and said, don't do it anymore. It was a big deal for a few days in the morning when there was no sweets because someone had stolen and eaten it all.
A caper. There was a caper, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in New York, it was not unusual. I mean, maybe once every few months, somebody would try to do that. But there was no big, it wasn't a big punishment or anything, but just the point was to distribute prasadam, the Mahaprasadam, to everybody as much as possible. But one time, somebody was taking the bhoga sweet rice before it was offered to the deities, and we had there was a caper in that. We caught the culprit, but he also wasn't seriously or wasn't punished, but just the fact that he was caught was enough humiliation for his rectification. But so even though it's in this case it's already prasadam, Madhavendra Puri is the spot of sweet rice has already been offered to Gopinath, and Gopinath himself is taking that pot and saving it for Madhavendra Puri. So sometimes it's very nice that like at a feast or when there's prasadam, that devotees will save some of the prasadam for their family members or friends or stuff like that. Although it's not stealing, but it's a way of exchanging love. Therefore, Rupa Goswami says, "Dadati bhatigrinnati guyamakyati prichtiti bhunkte bhojayate chaiva shadvidhim pratilakshanam." The way to enhance or develop your devotional service is by giving things in charity and accepting charitable gifts. Of course, Christmas is coming up, and that's another thing. But giving gifts in charity, that might be many different things. Books are especially nice. Then, and accepting them, revealing one's mind confidentially, and hearing confidentially from others, and then offering prasad and accepting prasad are loving exchanges between the devotees, and sadvidhim priti lakshanam. They enhance the devotional relationships in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Oh, yes, Mother Sundari.
I was just thinking about how this reminds me of the pastime of Jagannath Mishra, I think inviting a Brahmana into their home, and the Brahmana wanted to offer bhoga to the deity, and Lord Caitanya kept accepting as a baby, as a child, kept accepting the offering, and I believe eating it, honoring it.
Yes.
And then the Brahmin would get frustrated and
Yes.
offer it all over again several times, if I
Yes.
recall correctly. This reminds me of that.
Yeah, very nice. It didn't seem like in that case that the Lord Chaitanya was called, the Brahman Bhoga Chora, but he could be. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all. Vancha
Kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevach patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.